Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're diving into something pretty fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
Two potential game changers in the fight against Parkinson's disease.
Okay.
Metformin and psilocybin.
Interesting.
Now, you might recognize metformin as a diabetes drug
Right.
and psilocybin.
Well, from magic mushrooms.
Exactly. But what if I told you that both of these are showing real promise in preventing Parkinson's? We've got some fascinating research articles to unpack here.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
It is intriguing, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's no cure for Parkinson's, right?
Right. These compounds offer a glimmer of hope for actually stopping it before it even starts.
That's right.
So, okay,
Before we get into the specific...
before we get into how these potential treatments work.
Yeah, let's just make sure we're all on the same page about what makes Parkinson's so challenging.
Okay, sounds good.
Parkinson's disease is a neurodegenerative disorder.
Which means?
It gets progressively worse over time,
Uh-huh.
and it's caused by damage to a specific area of the brain called the substantia nigra. And
Right.
that's responsible for producing dopamine.
Dopamine crucial for...
Yeah. Movement, mood, cognitive function.
And so when those dopamine-producing neurons are damaged?
It leads to the classic Parkinson's symptoms.
Right,
Tremors, slow movements, stiffness,
Right.
and it can even lead to cognitive decline and mood disorders.
So this research on metformin and psilocybin is exciting because it's not just about managing symptoms, it's about potentially protecting the brain from that initial damage.
Exactly.
Wow.
Current treatments primarily focus on just managing those symptoms.
Right.
They don't address the underlying cause.
Okay.
This research offers a different approach.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Let's start with metformin. I
Right,
have
yeah.
to admit, the idea of a common diabetes drug having this potential brain-protecting power is pretty mind-blowing.
It is a bit surprising, isn't it?
Yeah.
Metformin has been used safely and effectively to treat type 2 diabetes for decades.
Right.
Now, research suggests,
It has much broader implications for health and aging.
yes, including protecting the brain from neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's.
So how does it work? What is the magic behind metformin's potential neuroprotective effects?
Well, one of the key ways metformin works is by reducing oxidative stress, which is a major culprit in aging and many diseases, including those affecting the brain.
Interesting.
Oxidative stress damages cells over time. Metformin seems to act as a powerful antioxidant, protecting cells from that damage.
Interesting. So it's not just about treating diabetes.
Yeah.
It's about protecting cells at a fundamental level.
Exactly. In addition to fighting oxidative stress,
Okay.
metformin appears to improve mitochondrial function.
Now remind me.
Mitochondria are the powerhouses of cells,
Right.
providing them with energy.
Okay.
As we age, mitochondrial function declines,
Uh,
and this decline is especially pronounced in neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's.
I see.
Metformin seems to boost mitochondrial function, helping those cellular powerhouses keep running smoothly.
Okay, so metformin is fighting oxidative stress and boosting those energy centers in our cells.
Great.
Is there anything else it does to potentially protect the brain?
Well, there's another interesting mechanism.
Yeah.
Metformin has been shown to decrease the aggregation of alpha-synuclein.
Now, what is that?
Alpha-synuclein is a protein that clumps together in the brains of people with Parkinson's,
Okay.
forming what are called Lewy bodies.
Okay.
These Lewy bodies disrupt brain function,
Yeah.
contribute to the progression of the disease.
So it's like metformin is...
Research suggests that metformin might actually prevent or reduce the formation of these harmful protein clumps.
stepping in and doing like triple duty,
Yeah.
shielding brain cells from damage, powering them up,
Right.
and even breaking up those harmful protein gangs.
Exactly.
Are there any specific studies that stand out in terms of demonstrating these effects?
There are a few that are quite compelling.
Oh, yeah.
One study found that metformin protected brain cells from the damaging effects of rotenone, a toxin that's been linked to Parkinson's.
Mm-hmm.
Another study showed that metformin increased the viability of cells exposed to MPP+, which is another toxin that specifically targets dopamine-producing neurons.
So the same neurons that are affected in Parkinson's disease.
Exactly.
Oh,
And it's not just cell studies.
okay.
Research in animal models of Parkinson's has shown that metformin can improve motor function and reduce the loss of dopamine neurons.
That's impressive. So we're seeing positive results in both cells and animal models.
We are.
It sounds like there's real potential here.
Yes, the early research is certainly promising, but it's important to remember that more research,
Especially.
particularly large-scale clinical trials in humans,
Right.
is needed to confirm these findings and determine the optimal doses and long-term effects of using metformin for Parkinson's prevention.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's still early days, but the potential is exciting.
Yeah.
Now, let's move on to our other star player, psilocybin. I think many people might be surprised to hear that a psychedelic compound could hold promise for preventing a neurodegenerative disease.
It's true, psilocybin has a bit of a reputation.
Yeah.
But when we look beyond the recreational use,
Right.
we find that psilocybin is classified as a psychoplastogen, a compound that promotes neuroplasticity.
Now, for our listeners who may not know.
Neuroplasticity is essentially the brain's ability to change and adapt, to rewire itself in response to experiences, or in this case, potential damage.
So is it fair to say that psilocybin could help the brain rewire itself in a way that makes it more resilient to the damage that causes Parkinson's?
That's the idea.
Interesting.
Psilocybin's primary mechanism of action is through the 5-HT2A receptor in the brain.
Okay.
This receptor plays a crucial role in learning, memory, and mood. Its activation by psilocybin seems to trigger a cascade of events that enhance neuroplasticity and promote the growth and survival of brain cells.
And so this leads to?
It also leads to increased production of BDNF, a protein that's crucial for the growth and survival of neurons.
Okay, so psilocybin is interacting with this specific receptor, and that's setting off a chain reaction that's potentially good for the brain.
Right.
But how does that translate into protecting the brain from Parkinson's specifically?
Well, think of Parkinson's as a gradual loss of brain cells in the substantia nigra,
Right.
the area responsible for dopamine production, psilocybin, by enhancing neuroplasticity, could be helping to protect those vulnerable neurons and even promote the growth of new ones.
Okay.
It could also help to strengthen the connections between existing neurons,
making the brain more resilient to damage.
Yeah, and there's some evidence that psilocybin might be able to reduce inflammation in the brain, which is another factor that contributes to neurodegenerative diseases.
I'm starting to see how psilocybin could be a powerful tool in the fight against Parkinson's. It's not just about treating symptoms. It's about potentially rewiring the brain for better health and resilience.
Exactly. And this is what makes this research so fascinating.
It really is.
We're moving beyond simply managing symptoms and looking at ways to potentially prevent or delay the onset of these devastating diseases.
This is truly groundbreaking research, and I'm eager to learn more about the specific studies that are backing up these claims.
Okay.
But we'll have to save that for next time.
So then.
Sounds good. So before the break, we were talking about the potential of psilocybin to protect the brain from the damage that leads to Parkinson's disease.
Yeah, and it was fascinating to hear how psilocybin might actually help rewire the brain for greater resilience.
Right.
What I'm really curious about now are the specific studies that support this idea.
Okay.
What kind of research is being done, and what are the key findings?
Well, researchers are exploring psilocybin's potential in a number of ways.
Okay.
And the results are quite intriguing.
Oh, yeah.
One of the most compelling pieces of evidence comes from studies looking at the growth of dendritic spines in the brain.
Now, remind me again, what exactly are dendritic spines? Dendritic spines are tiny protrusions on the dendrites of neurons.
Yeah.
And they play a critical role in communication between brain cells.
I see.
They're essentially the points of contact where neurons receive signals from other neurons. So the more dendritic spines a neuron has, the more connections it can make and the more efficiently it can communicate.
So are you saying that psilocybin can actually increase the number of these connections in the brain?
That's exactly what the research suggests.
Wow.
Studies in mice have shown that psilocybin leads to a rapid and lasting increase in the growth of dendritic spines.
Really?
And this growth is particularly pronounced in areas of the brain that are involved in learning, memory, and mood.
Wow, that's remarkable.
Yeah.
So it's like psilocybin is helping to build a more robust and interconnected network in the brain.
Yes, and this increased connectivity could be one of the ways psilocybin helps protect the brain from damage.
Okay.
A more interconnected brain is a more resilient brain, able to adapt and compensate for the loss of neurons.
This is really starting to paint a picture of how psilocybin might work.
Right.
But what about human studies?
Yeah.
Has there been any research looking at psilocybin's effects in people with Parkinson's?
There have been a few small-scale clinical trials.
Okay.
And while the results are preliminary,
Mm-hmm.
they're encouraging.
Oh, yeah.
One study found that psilocybin was well tolerated by people with Parkinson's disease,
Okay.
and that it led to improvements in mood and quality of life. Another study suggested that psilocybin might be able to improve motor function in people with Parkinson's,
Okay.
although more research is needed to confirm this finding.
It sounds like we're still in the early stages of understanding psilocybin's full potential.
Yeah, we are.
But the research so far is certainly intriguing.
It is.
And it seems to support the idea that psilocybin could be a valuable tool for preventing or delaying the progression of Parkinson's disease.
Absolutely. And it's important to note that this research is still ongoing. Larger, longer-term clinical trials are needed to confirm these early findings and to determine the optimal doses and long-term effects of using psilocybin for Parkinson's.
Sure.
Researchers are also working to understand the potential risks and side effects of psilocybin treatment,
Okay.
especially in people with underlying health conditions.
That makes sense, as with any new treatment.
Right.
It's essential to proceed with caution and carefully evaluate both the benefits and the risks.
Yeah,
But the potential here is undeniable.
it is.
We've been talking a lot about how these compounds might work.
Right.
But what about the research itself?
Okay.
What kinds of studies are being conducted, and what are some of the challenges researchers are facing?
Researchers are using a variety of approaches to study the potential of metformin and psilocybin for Parkinson's prevention. Some studies are being conducted in cells or animals,
Right.
while others are being conducted in humans.
Okay.
One of the key challenges in this field is developing accurate models of Parkinson's disease.
Oh.
Yeah, it's difficult to replicate the complexity of the human brain in a lab setting,
I see.
and this can make it challenging to study how these compounds might work in people.
So it's like trying to study a hurricane in a bathtub.
Exactly. And another challenge is recruiting participants for clinical trials.
Okay.
Parkinson's disease is a relatively rare condition,
Right.
and finding people who are willing to participate in research can be difficult.
Yeah.
There's also the issue of funding.
Okay.
Research on psychedelic compounds like psilocybin has historically been underfunded,
I see.
which has slowed progress in this area.
It sounds like there's some hurdles to overcome, but researchers are finding ways to move forward.
They are, and there's a growing recognition of the importance of this research. The potential benefits of finding effective ways to prevent or delay Parkinson's disease are enormous.
Right.
And this is driving a surge of interest in exploring new and innovative treatment approaches.
It's encouraging to hear that researchers are committed to tackling these challenges and advancing this important research.
It is.
Now, we've talked about metformin and psilocybin individually,
Right.
but I'm curious about how they compare to each other.
Okay.
Do they have different strengths and weaknesses?
Yeah,
And could they potentially work together?
that's a great question.
Yeah.
And one that researchers are actively exploring.
Mm-hmm.
Metformin and psilocybin seem to work through different mechanisms,
Okay.
but they both aim to protect the brain from the damage that causes Parkinson's disease.
So they have the same goal.
Yes, metformin is a well-established drug with a proven safety record,
Right.
and it appears to have a broad range of beneficial effects,
Such as?
including reducing oxidative stress, improving mitochondrial function, and decreasing alpha-synuclein aggregation.
Right.
Psilocybin, on the other hand, is a more recently studied compound, and while it shows great promise, we're still learning about its long-term effects and potential risks.
So metformin is like the seasoned veteran with a solid track record.
Yeah,
And psilocybin is the exciting newcomer with a lot of potential.
that's a good analogy. And in terms of whether they could work together, it's certainly a possibility that's worth exploring.
Okay.
Researchers are beginning to investigate the potential of combining different treatments
Right.
to create a more comprehensive approach to Parkinson's prevention.
Combining their unique strengths could be a powerful strategy.
Absolutely.
It's like assembling a team of superheroes with complementary powers to fight a common enemy.
I like that image. And it highlights the importance of thinking outside the box and exploring all possible avenues for preventing or delaying the onset of this debilitating disease.
This has been a fascinating discussion,
It has.
and I'm eager to hear what you think about the future of this research.
Okay.
Where do we go from here?
Yeah.
And what are some of the most exciting possibilities on the horizon?
All right, let's talk about it.
So we've been exploring some truly groundbreaking research on metformin and psilocybin for preventing Parkinson's disease.
It's been a fascinating journey, hasn't it?
It really has.
We've delved into the cellular mechanisms,
Right.
the intriguing studies, and even the challenges researchers are facing.
Before the break, you mentioned that researchers are looking at the potential for combining metformin and psilocybin.
Right.
I'm curious to learn more about that.
Okay.
What are the possibilities and what kind of research is being done in this area?
Well, combining these two compounds is a pretty novel concept.
Yeah.
And it's generating a lot of interest.
Why is that?
Well, the idea is that metformin and psilocybin, while working through different pathways, could complement each other's strengths and create a more robust and multifaceted approach to protecting the brain.
So it's almost like...
Imagine it as like a two-pronged attack against the processes that contribute to Parkinson's disease.
having a team of specialists,
Yeah.
each with their own unique expertise, working together to tackle this complex problem.
Metformin, with its proven track record in reducing oxidative stress,
Right?
boosting mitochondrial function, and breaking up those harmful protein clumps,
Right.
could provide a solid foundation for protecting brain cells.
Okay.
Psilocybin, with its ability to enhance neuroplasticity and potentially promote the growth of new neurons, could add another layer of protection.
So it's helping the brain adapt and rewire itself in the face of damage.
Exactly.
It's a fascinating concept.
It is.
But are there any studies that are actually looking at this combination approach?
Well, it's still early days,
Okay.
and the research is just beginning to emerge.
Uh-huh.
There are a few preclinical studies, mostly in animal models, that suggest a potential synergistic effect when metformin and psilocybin are combined.
Oh, really?
For example, one study found that this combination was more effective than either compound alone
Wow.
in protecting dopamine neurons and improving motor function in a mouse model of Parkinson's disease.
That's encouraging.
It is.
But I imagine there are also challenges and considerations when it comes to combining these treatments.
Absolutely. One of the key challenges is determining the optimal doses and timing for each compound.
Right.
Researchers need to find the right balance to maximize the benefits while minimizing any potential risks or side effects.
Sure.
Another consideration is the potential for drug interactions.
Okay.
Metformin and psilocybin are metabolized differently in the body, and there's a possibility that they could interact in unforeseen ways.
So a lot more research is needed before we can say for sure whether this combination approach is safe and effective.
That's right, but the preliminary findings are certainly promising.
Yeah.
And this line of research has the potential to revolutionize the way we think about preventing and treating Parkinson's disease.
It's exciting to think about the possibilities.
It is.
As we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the broader implications of this research.
All right.
What does it tell us about the future of medicine and our understanding of the brain?
Well, I think this research highlights a paradigm shift in how we approach neurodegenerative diseases.
Okay.
You know, we're moving beyond simply managing symptoms and looking at ways to intervene early, potentially even before symptoms appear,
Right.
to protect the brain and prevent or delay the onset of these devastating conditions.
So it's like,
It's also a testament to the power of scientific curiosity
Yeah.
and the importance of exploring unconventional approaches.
we're entering a new era of brain health,
Yeah.
where we're not just treating disease, but actively promoting resilience and longevity.
Exactly. And this research is just the tip of the iceberg.
Really?
I believe we're on the cusp of a major breakthrough in our understanding of the brain
Wow.
and our ability to protect it from age-related decline and disease.
That's incredible.
The possibilities are truly endless.
This has been an incredibly insightful deep dive.
It has been.
Thank you for sharing your expertise
Well, of course.
and for helping us understand the potential of these groundbreaking treatments.
My pleasure.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery.
Yes. Thank you.
We hope you found it as fascinating as we did.
I hope so.
Remember, this is just a starting point.
Right.
There's a wealth of information out there.
Yeah.
And we encourage you to continue exploring and learning about the amazing potential of the human brain and the exciting new therapies that are emerging.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep diving deep.
See you then.